Okay, so Bernie Sanders must be getting math lessons from AOC because he just said one of the dumbest things I think I've ever heard him say.
So my concern with Mr. Manchin is not so much what his views are. I disagree with him. But it is that it is wrong. It is really not playing fair that one or two people think that they should be able to stop what 48 members of the Democratic caucus want, what the American people want, what the President of the United States wants. That would be my position.
Okay, so here's the thing, Bernie. It's not two people voting against this bill. It's 52, right? There's 50 Republicans who are voting against the bill, and there's two Democrats siding with them. This is not two people stopping the will of 48. This is 52 stopping the will of 48. But of course, Republicans don't matter, right? Because us Republicans, we're the ones in the wrong. So of course, we're the ones who are constantly, vilified in the media, and our opinion on these issues should not matter when it comes to policies. At least this is how, of course, the left always wants to. It's how they always look at things. Whenever the Republicans mount a successful defense over something Democrats are pushing, their viewpoints are considered invalid. Not that they're mistaken, not that they need to be won over, that they're just purely out there to do what they're doing because they're evil. And because of that, when two Democrats actually side with Republicans, they're like apostates, right? They are the ones who have betrayed the one true religion, which is, of course, the Democrat church, the church of the Democrats. That is how they treat anyone who's a Democrat who sides with anyone who's a Republican. And I've seen this before. I've worked with political nonprofits. And the political nonprofits I've worked with, we worked with Democrats and Republicans to do stuff like get things passed like criminal justice reform. Like we helped work on a lot of things involving criminal justice reform that, of course, Trump actually got passed, yay Trump. We had people show up to our event who are Democrats who later told me I should not have done that event because now the people on my side are crucifying me over it. It was an event for something that they agreed with, something that they agree with us on, and they still regretted being there because the left still destroyed them afterwards. It's never about the issue at hand. It never is. It's about the perspective, right? They want to come across as a monolith. They want to say, you know what? You must agree with whatever the party wants. Now, Bernie Sanders at one point was an outsider. At one point, he was the outsider. He was the one coming in as a populist. Remember, he said we need to close off our borders because open borders is a Koch brother conspiracy. All these evil, he said capitalists, but all these evil CEOs and stuff, they're hiring illegal immigrants and driving down wages. So we need to make sure we close the border. He came in as a populist when he first started. And that ruffled some feathers, right? But he was too popular for them to just push aside. So instead, what did they do? They basically bought him out. They bought him out, and now he's right in line. He will never align himself with anyone who's outside of the Democrat Party at this point. He just won't, because he's now bought into this premise. I used to be able to at least say about Bernie Sanders, he was right about the problems, but wrong about the solutions, right? Bernie Sanders is notorious for saying, you know what, there's too much corruption with business inside government. So what should we do? Well, we should increase the size of government. Because, of course, if you increase the size of government, that's not going to then increase the amount of people who want to get involved, get their businesses involved with it. Just total idiocy. However, I can at least say he was genuine. I can at least say he was genuine in his opinions back in the day. Now, he's coming out here berating two people who are outsiders to the Democrat Party. They kind of are more your traditional Bill Clinton style Democrats, which I still completely disagree with in many ways. But at the very least, we can have some compromise with. They're not radicals. I can at least say that. They're not radicals. And it is funny, the left wants to talk about how radical the right is. The right is filled with radicals. The truth is, the right, when you look at the mainstream right, is not radical. When you look at if you took all 50 Republicans in the Senate right now, you would not find almost any radicals whatsoever. You would find 2 or 3 radicals. Maybe that's it. I'm just spitballing here, right? The reality is the Republican Party is not radical in any sense of the word. They're very middle of the road, if not leaning left at most times. While the Democrats, this is a great example. 48% or 48 out of 50 are radicals, and 2 members are sane. And Bernie Sanders, of course, who, he was a nut job when, saying, we should be a more socialist country. He's a socialist. Of course, he's a nut job. He doesn't understand basic economics. But He at least was genuine. He was an outsider, and at least he was working across the aisle actually to figure out, okay, well, what's best for his constituents. At one point, he actually was a decent senator for the people who elected him. He actually did work across the aisle, and he was very much middle of the road with a lot of issues. He famously said gun rights is not it shouldn't be really so much a federal issue because it's more of a urban versus rural issue, right? People in rural areas, of course, need more guns. It's just the way it is. And now I would say everyone deserves gun rights. I would say that every single person, whether you're in a city or not, the fact that, the NRA isn't in inner city Chicago right now, basically, helping out all these youths who are being arrested for nothing more than owning a firearm. The fact they aren't doing that to me is appalling. Everyone has the right to bear arms. So I disagree with them that, urban centers have the right to have all these gun restrictions. But with that said, he at least wasn't a radical when it came to gun laws. He basically just said, hey, you know what? Urban people have one opinion, rural people have a different opinion, and we have to find some balance there. That's not a radical position. It just isn't. So it used to be he wasn't so radical on the way he looked at things, but now he's part of the cabal. He is part of the system, right? He at one point was outside the system and is now a part of the system to such an extent that when two members speak out a line, oh, he's going to go out there and make it seem like they're the problem, right? Not the fact that, hey, 52% of, senators disagree with the bill. He said 2 people out of 48 disagree with it. So again, the Republicans shouldn't even be considered in this conversation. As the way they look at it is, again, the Democrat Party should be a monolith because if it exists as a monolith, they can pass any bill they want. They got 50 seats in the Senate, and of course, they had the presidency. So they'll get anything they want passed so long as they remain a monolith. So when one person speaks out, man, they got to crucify that person. They got to do whatever they can to get them back in line. Of course, the left does this by ridicule, by harassment, as we saw with the senator from Arizona who was followed into the bathroom, which I believe is actually illegal. They will do whatever it takes to bring these people back, to bring them back to be part of that monolith. They are doing whatever it takes at this point. And even Bernie Sanders, who at one point was an outsider, is now right on board with doing whatever he can to bring these people back in line because he is now part of the machine. I know there's a lot of people out there who used to like him. I used to, though I despised everything he stood for, I could at least say he was honest back in the day. He's not honest anymore, and he's still just as dumb when it comes to economics, right? He has no redeeming factors about him at this point. He just doesn't. His redeeming factor was he was an outsider. He's no longer an outsider. He just isn't. He's part of the Democrat establishment, even if he has an I next to his name, he doesn't make him an independent. He is part of the Democrat establishment at this point. He learned his lesson when they did whatever they could to screw him out of the 2016 election and, of course, the 2020 election. He learned his place, and now he's part of the establishment. But what do you think? I mean, Bernie, was he ever really any bit good? Again, at least I think he was honest at one point in his life. I think he was honest, though dumb. At least he was honest. But what do you think? Was he always this way, or is this something that now he's just become? Leave a comment below, as well as, of course, if you like this video, hey, leave a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Either way, thanks so much for watching, and we'll be talking again real soon.